Hey, my name is Jay Martin. Thanks for watching TW Replays. We have a team game here. It's a 2v2 on grassy flatlands. On the far side of the screen, you're looking at two players from TsR playing as Prussia. On the right is Scroogie, and on the left as Spain is Talcore. And I never timed this out right, so we gotta wait for the other team to spawn. But on the near side here is going to be a team from 409th. On the right, I believe, is Deon, and I believe on the left is PartyBoy. Yeah, PartyBoy. Deon over here is going to be France, and there they go. PartyBoy on the left is Austria. I'm going to kind of do this in two parts because they kind of played the game very separate. The armies didn't really interact with each other's sides of the field, and in fact, these guys almost waited for this side to get wrapped up. This replay was sent to me by Scroogie. Thanks very much, man. It's a decent game. I think a couple things define the gameplay. The first is that neither player engages down the center of the map here. I think they're trying to respect, like, let's play two dual 1v1s, which I kind of frown upon. I think it takes away a lot of the chemistry of a 2v2 game. So what you're going to see is a lot of action down the red line on the left over here and the other side of the field, which I think really limits the gameplay, so I'm not a huge fan of that. Well, we're going to watch this side first. This is Talcore Spain against PartyBoy's Austria. Both sides have relatively similar armies. I think it's 5 cav over there and 4 over here. What they're really doing is the red line is here, and they both have decent infantry. There's an Austrian guard and a Walloon guard. And they're going to exchange some fire. I think that this battle here hinges on one kind of important play. Notice that he's moving all 4 cav over there. Kind of, I guess they committed to attacking only at the flanks though, because they're no interference down the center rule. But no, these two units are exchanging fire. Reserve unit there. One thing I don't really like about how Austria is deployed here is these units are way over there not doing anything, and then there's a couple line units back here not really doing anything. Now, he makes a cav charge through towards the lights. Note, pause, that no other unit in his army is moving at this point. This is a horrible charge. This is the definition of an unsupported cav charge, trying to pick off some lights. 8 casualties, I guess, but this unit could be closer. Gets a volley off into the Ulan, who's going to be down to 15 men there. So, unsupported cav charge, throws a cav unit away in an effort to break up the lights at the beginning of the game. That's what's happening here. Does move infantry up on the left, trades volley. These units are all relatively even strength. Now, slow down. There's 2 lights in line here against what are going to be 3. And nothing's really happening on the right side of the line here. So we've got these 2 lights here. Now keep an eye on these units, because this is going to be kind of what determines the battle, at least up from the left. Here comes some cav. The lights are shooting at each other. Okay, here comes a cav charge there. Here comes a cav charge there. And people are moving up. Now these guys start running away. Okay. I guess we can go a little faster here. These guys start running away. It turns out, I think that both cav units here weren't needed. But what happens is they provoke an incredible response from this Austrian player who runs all of his lights back. And then he retreats the cav. So the cav charge doesn't even go all the way through. But what he does do is he creates this huge hole in the Austrian line here, that there are now 6 Austrian infantry units ready to move in, and he's got this little flanking advantage. Right? Check that out. And the right side of the Austrian army is not moving up fast enough to do anything about that. Now what he does do is run his line back, but at the same time he's not controlling the rest of his lights, so his whole center of his line is completely disorganized. Meanwhile, Spain is comfortably shooting 2v1 at the Grenzers here. And I think this is what determines, well, one of 2 things that determines the game. So this lets Spain advance up the red line on the left here, and Austria is just making no effort at all to reorganize the center of the line. I mean, one random line, I mean, you can select more than one unit at once, guys. You know, get these units moving. What really determines the game is a cav charge comes from Spain right into the Austrian general, and this has got to be one of the luckiest guys around, because every time I do this, I just straight up, my cav unit dies. But no, he pops the general right there. And obviously, if you know a low morale army like Austria loses a general like that, it's bad. Now, two things happen. Austria countercharges with 2 Lancers. I think that's bad. That's just a reactionary defensive charge. Again, no other units in his army are moving. There's no attempt to reform a line, which you can easily do. Just drag select all these units, form a new line, there to there. You know, why isn't that happening? You know, these 2 random lights. This is kind of a sloppy game. I mean, the movement, the initial cav movement of Spain to disorganize Austria's lights, I guess Austria just can never recover from that in a micro sense, which seems weird. And then that cav charge from the Spanish Lancers in that just straight up assassinate the general really winds up doing it. This should be the game, I would think. Again, Spain charges 2 cav units here. I think that's a little greedy. I think this one wasn't needed. Positioning of the infantry here is fine. The infantry could have carried that. Maybe Spain just wants to end the game a little bit quicker. I think 1 cav would have been fine there. Is a little frustrating. The Spanish infantry is kind of lagging behind. Like, these units could be filling the center of the line. There's a kind of half-strength unit that could be filling the center of the line here. But now that Spain has turned the corner, Austria seems incapable of reforming a coherent line. There is a cav charge from Spain to disorganize the lights. Again, the line unit that should be covering them is not doing the job. Bad charge. Bad charge. Austria just was disorganized from the get-go. From that initial cav charge, it disorganized Austria. They could never really get anything going again. Spain is finally deciding to get all of its army into the battle now. And this is pretty much over. I think Spain even has cavalry left that they're charging in the remainder of the lights. Austrian line is moving, so it can't actually fight back that unit. That could have... Oh, that's a lander. They couldn't have squared. But that was it. I think this game was determined by sloppy organization from Austria there. Couldn't reorganize after initial... They overreacted to initial cav charge. Maybe you could argue that their positioning was poor to begin with to allow that 1 cav charge to disorganize them so much. Spain got lucky with a big hit on the general. That's kind of random. And that's sort of what happened. Anyway, so that was the one half of the battle. GG, Talcore, and PartyBoy. Definitely played a little 1v1 in the restricted space of the 2v2 grassy flatlands map. I thought this... Anyway, it happened. It's the thing. I'm going to pick you up 1 second while we watch the other half of the battle. Alright, here we go on the other side. We're on... Our frame of reference is the same, so we're watching Deon. Here's France, and then Scroogie is Prussia. These guys are just going to... Actually, Scroogie's going to kite pretty hardcore for quite a while. France's army, interesting things to note. There are 3 old guard over here. I'm a little interested in how these are going to be handled by Scroogie. There's also a young guard way back here. I don't understand why players don't put units in line. Like, we had back here with the Austrian player, this unit, and then this unit back here never really got in. I'm a firm advocate that you want to have your units in there where they're going to make a difference. So there's a young guard, there's a random militia chilling out back here, there's another Swiss. These guys are going to kite for a little bit. The other thing is that France brought shooter cav, while Scroogie obviously has lancers. I think that shooter cav are a very poor decision for this, because they're functionally playing a 1v1 on a very constricted grassy map, and shooter cav are really reliant, or they excel when you can get them on the flank, and he's obviously not going to have the space or the ability to create that space to make the shooter cav work. As a result, I think that Scroogie is going to have a big advantage due to lancers. Another thing is the French players brought chasseurs. Kind of gets away with it because Scroogie only brought 4 lights and seems intent to not want to have a big hammer fight in the middle of the map. But at the same time, I don't think I'd... that's over on the other side of the field. The Austrian general dying shows you how slow this side of the map wasn't developing. I think TsR is just always the wrong pick for France. Over on the right is where the old guard are, and France just is not capable of getting in a straight line. Like, one of the old guard has drifted back here. There's a young guard back there. I'm not really sure what his plan is. Moved a militia up. Scroogie keeps moving his lights up when he thinks he can get a good hit. France kind of, am I going to charge? Am I not going to charge? Am I going to charge? A movement is going to happen. What I want you to notice is that there's nothing in the center of France's line. And they move up. They're going to kite a little bit. Okay, here's where it happens. See Scroogie moving all these units right. What you're going to wind up with 16 units on Scroogie's end versus 10 units on this guy's end. And remember how they weren't exactly playing through the center of the map. They were doing everything up the red line, like on the other side. So what you now have is a 16 v10. And I thought that this movement to the right for Scroogie was well done, because you can see France is not reacting at all. France actually has a range advantage here that he's not going to use. And France wants to be aggressive here. The problem is that he's got his infantry in double line, so he's not going to be putting out a ton of firepower. He actually, can't match the lights of Scroogie. This is one of the situations where somehow you manage to make your army weak everywhere. So let's watch what happens here. France is going to attack. That was, again, a horrible charge. TsR into the middle of nothing. I don't know. Here comes the move. Alright. The old guard move up. Lights move left. Here comes the charge from the TsR Cheval. Pull them back. Realize maybe they're not good. Let's move the old guard. Scroogie's cav charge. Here we go. Stop. Scroogie's cav charge. Lancers coming in against naked old guard. The other lancer up there, actually I think that's technically a hussar, is going to start moving. Old guard getting to square, but the militia are dead. There are no lights to support them. These are foot guards he's facing against. A clean charge comes into the old guard. Fire from 4 units. V2 is going to be more than enough to take this out. The fatal flaw, we have a young guard that hasn't participated in the battle yet. Right? The center of this guy's line just kind of doesn't exist. The old guard there got switched out to fight on its own. Again, 1v4 here. So this really was about positional advantage. Scroogie managed to wind up having way more units in a concentrated area of the map than the other guy did. He also had better unit quality. He brought lancers. The other guy had Cheval that didn't really participate much. And this guy could have done some real serious work over here on this side of the map. He had some advantageous, that was poorly phrased, some advantages going for him. But making this play down the center, or excuse me, down the right, just did not work. And so this is going to be on the French guy over here. I'm not a, I don't like the passive kiting game Scroogie played. It's my constructive criticism. I like to see players be more active. In this case, it was incredibly effective. I recognize you're facing against old guard. It's kind of what you got to do when you're facing all those old guard, but man, did he bait that guy into making a horrible attack. Yeah, that guy made a horrible attack. At this point, because Talcore is 1, you can see the balance of power bar. I don't even know what this is called, but it means that the French units are going to rout a little bit quicker than they would normally. That might have been a factor. How many units your army has total on the field factors into the morale of your men. So with the Austrian army routed off the field, the French morale is going to be a little bit lower. And at this point, Scroogie has generated enough numerical advantage. You can just walk up in line, charge whatever cav you want, and make that happen. So anyway, that was the game. I thought it was well played. There's some interesting decisions. The Austrian center over here, I thought, was the big turning point on this game. Might like to see this player play again. Somebody that can move their units. And then I just thought the French player just made a horrible attack, and the counter from the Lancers is exactly how you want to use cav. It's exactly how you want to use cav. He's got his guards involved. The old guard bring the cav in is really nicely done. That was a nice deck. So good game, guys. I enjoyed watching your game. Talcore Scroogie from TsR, and PartyBoy and Deon from 409th. Thanks for watching. Send me your replays at gmail.com. I will not promised to watch them all, but hey, you never know. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.